Because at Supermax, you know, you got to go through the metal detector. I don't care what the case is, you're going through the metal detector. So I go through the metal detector, they trying to figure out what I got on because it keep going off. I got my little state jacket on, you know what I'm saying? So they said, man, take your jacket off. When I was taking my jacket off, it felt like so I was like, you know, because it snagged my coat. So when they pulled the joint off, that's when they seen this shit like protruding out my arm. So they're like, oh, he been stabbed, and I'm
Crime Talk 369, prison stories on the line, New York rhythm in the spine. If you did it or you didn't, you gon' feel it in this rhyme.
My name is Uhuru Zaki Assadi from Virginia. Did about 25 years off of a 7-8 year prison sentence. What happened was, you know, I had 2 co-defendants. You know, things just didn't go as I felt they should go. But anyway, I ended up with, 7-8 year prison sentence. There was a brother by the name of Pakistan Gary from the Bronx, New York, who passed away 2019. His cellie unalived him. He had started me on a course, a journey, because what I used to do is sit in the pod, man, and play tabletops all day. You know, he was one of them individuals that seen something in me, so he was trying to, get me to, man, try to get back in court, man. You know what I mean? You still young, man. You still can make some things happen. So in the process of me researching what he was telling me, I found a conditional pardon. And I filed a conditional pardon. On the first time I filed it, they shot me down because I didn't file it right. So they sent the paperwork back accompanied with the instructions on how to file it, in which they never do. So that was surprising. So, I filed it, and fast forward January the 6th, 2022, they granted my conditional pardon after doing about 25 years.
Through the day that you got arrested, tell us the story from the beginning.
The incident that transpired, was an unaliving and a robbery. Like I said, I got 2 co-defendants. Prior to this unaliving and the robbery, we had already been pursuing something else, which was an individual that was trying to, I guess, holler at one of my homeboys' baby mother, dude by the name of Jamaican Pete. So we had been on a hunt for him, looking for him, trying to straighten him out, right? I'm talking about for about 2.5 hours, we riding around looking for this dude in a crackhead vehicle. So we riding from neighborhood to neighborhood because he sold trap, the reefer. So eventually we found him or seen him. He had a red Grand Prix with dark tinted windows, right? Vehicle stands out among, the average vehicle, right? The way he had it decked out. So we see him at an Exxon. Mind you, we holding. We see him in the Exxon pumping his gas. So I'm driving. So my homeboy that's in the front seat that said me, yo, go around the backside of the gas station. I'm talking about as I'm turning in, go to the backside of the gas station. He just rolled the window down and just, just started unloading, right? So I was like, that joint messed me up a little bit because I wasn't prepared for it. You're not even thinking about the people that's watching the crime. You know what I'm saying? It was people out there that we were so hung on our emotions on trying to get this dude back. We didn't even see the people that was out there. You know what I'm saying? So they were the ones who turned us in. But they picked my co-defendant up first. And once they picked them up, that's how everything was exposed, because he never been in trouble before. Not no trouble like no homicide, which I understood. You know what I'm saying? I understood because I've been going to, juvie hall and things of that nature since I've been like 13 years old. You know what I'm saying? So I'm used to getting incarcerated. But him, on the other hand, he wasn't used to getting locked up. So his first line of defense was self-preservation. He trying to wiggle out of it. But the way he gave it to the detective is that me and my other co-defendant made him do the crime. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of messed me up. And when he said that, because at first, I was like, yo, give me a lawyer. I'm not saying anything. But then they started telling me things that transpired in the crime. You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh shit, this nigga done told everything. In my head, you know what I'm saying? You know how you go do something, right? You listening to the detectives, right? You denying what they saying, but in your head, like, damn, that's exactly what's happened. That's exactly what happened. So when they told me that he was, the good cop, bad cop, so I'm listening. I'm like, he giving the description of the gun I had, the Tech 9, and it was just, I was like, oh man. So his statement, along with the 6 of the witnesses, is really what was the most damaging part of the case. And like I said, coming up in that environment, man, my family ain't got no money for no Johnny Cochran type lawyer to beat no cases. We barely get by. You scraping food to get in the house. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to pay no $20,000, $30,000 for no lawyer and, for some stuff that you has some dealings with. You know what I mean? Like, nah.
Do you think there was anybody that could have stopped you back then? man.
Yeah, but I blame myself, man. I don't blame nobody else because for one, I was the only one in my neighborhood, man, at the age of 17, 18, going to vocational school for a GED and brick masonry trade, right? And working. But I was still, doing my little side hustles. But yeah, man, like it was dudes that used to tell me, like, man, you only supposed to be out here, man. You know what I'm saying? You the only one out here that's going to school and working. But like I said, man, that's the streets that's had some type of hold on a person, man. Like some type of attraction power or something. You know what I mean? Like a black cloud. Like I said, the environment plays a pivotal role in most young men that's living in these type of communities, man.
Yeah,
It plays a
definitely does.
pivotal role, man.
What kind of things do you see while you're in jail?
Oh man, Virginia is different than a lot of some of these big states like Philadelphia, New York, Florida. You know what I mean? Alabama, Georgia. Places like that. It get crazy sometime here in Virginia, right? I really didn't really see nothing real. A few stabbings here and there, right? The gangs they started taking over. I witnessed one like this one dude, man. I was real close with, man. He was in a particular set, right? He wanted to get out. He older dude though, 38 years old. He ain't had no business banging anyway. But the way that they exit him out of the gang, it was crazy. Yeah, I consider him, one of my comrades, man. Even though he was affiliated, I wasn't affiliated. But a lot of the gang dudes, they rocked with me. But they stabbed him up real bad. Had like 6 poke wounds in his back. I think about this every time somebody bring this up, man. I think about it because he came from the yard, man, from the prison yard, off the yard. He went out there clean, white tee, what I mean, smooth cut. But when he came back in the park, dusty, he had like white blood specks on his back. So he take his shirt off. He got like 6 stab wounds, man, in his back. So he wanted me to put D ointment. It's like this cream, man. It's D ointment over the wounds. I was like, no, bro, you need to go to medical, man. Go to medical, yo. Actually, that was the second time I had to put D ointment on somebody's stab wounds in prison, bro. That was, yeah, it was like seeing like the white flesh with a little specks of blood in it. I can remember that joint vividly because that was a serious affair. I really didn't know how serious exiting the game really was until I seen that incident, right? You know what I'm saying? Because you hear about talks about, blood in, blood out and all that type stuff, right? But me actually seeing it was like, wow. And then I had another incident with my cellie, Muslim. When I first got to the Supermax prison, Sussex I State Prison, I had a brother by the name of Abdul Wali from Petersburg, Virginia, man. Older brother, right? Dark-skinned, black, thick dude. Kind of, he was in his late 40s, but he was still ripped up. So he get to argue with one of the dudes in the pod. He ended up getting stabbed. That was the first stabbing that I not seen, but the aftermath of a stabbing. Because Sussex I State Prison is 23-1. You're locked down 23 hours a day and you're up for an hour, right? But anyway, that was my cellie Abdul Wali, man. He got stabbed up like 3-4 times in the back. Got to fight with a dude by the name of Chauncey from Norfolk, Virginia, man. And that jump was crazy too. Because he too he gave me some gloves and told me to put D ointment on his wound. I'm fresh in the system. I'm 19 years old. I have a clue to what's going on. All I know is that he asked me to put the D ointment on his stab wounds, man. And I was like, that let me know right there, man. Like, damn, this may not be the place for me. Those like incidents like that, man. I try to explain these incidents to these young kids because you don't have no pistols in prison. The pistols in prisons are knives, and if you don't know how to work that knife, you're in for a rude awakening.
Explain to the viewers why they wanted you to put the ointment in their wounds. What does that do?
It kind of like I think it cauterized the wound. It stops the bleeding. You know what I'm saying? It really stops the bleeding. Individuals like that, like I was thinking, like the first thing came to my mind was internal hemorrhaging. You need to go to medical, man. You know what I'm saying? At Sussex I State Prison, they was making knives or shanks out of the fences. Like, the fence, the wire fence, they will break the fence off. And they'll probably have a piece of wire about yay long. But what they would do is they'll tear a sheet. They'll tie the sheet around it. You know what I'm saying? Of the handle of it. And it'll be about a blade probably about long as my index finger, right?
It's like an ice pick.
Like an ice pick. You know what I mean? And then you had dudes that would melt down the sporks, the like plastic spoons. They would melt them all together and sharpen them joints up like vampire steaks, right? Then you had dudes that melt down the toothbrush. You know what I'm saying? So they started giving us these thumb-sized toothbrushes at Sussex I State Prison to brush your teeth with, right? I'm talking about if you brush your teeth, you can swallow the whole toothbrush. So dudes had to start melting spoons to the toothbrush just so they can brush their teeth without swallowing the toothbrush, man. That's how bad that joint was, man. I really didn't have no really bad experience other than the fact when I had got jumped by like 8 dudes, right? That was my first real bad experience of prison.
How'd that happen?
Basketball. Yeah, playing basketball, man. You know, I ain't the type that'll talk trash, right? But if you talk trash to me, I'm gonna talk it back. It's just that dude didn't like how I was talking my trash. You know what I mean? So that joint escalated. We got in each other's face. He was from Richmond, Virginia, by the name of Khalif, man. So, you know, we got to, big argument out on the yard, and it just escalated when we got back to the pod. So dudes that, because I used to rock with these dudes from DC, by the name of Hamza. He was Muslim too, and True. Both of them from Washington, D.C., man. I rock with a lot of D.C. dudes, man, when I was in the system. Yeah, they used to tell me, like, yo, they used to call me Go Self. Yeah, you know, that's how they used to call me, right? But they was telling me, because they keep the yard separated. Like, them niggas gonna jump you, man. They gonna jump you. Jordan from Richmond. So they say they gonna jump you, Go Self. Shout it. I'm hot-headed, you know what I mean? Man, I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't need no help. You know what I mean? I can handle this dude by myself, but, I'm green to the prison culture, prison environment. I'm still fresh in, right? Probably had been in about a year, some change. And a lot of it came, I got locked up. I still had gold grills. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the envy and hatred came from, me having the grills, and the female officers always have, like, they have a, connection with me. I'm still young, but anyway, yeah, I end up getting jumped, fractured lower jaw. You know what I mean? I got stabbed in my, like, on my forearm. That's how I knew they used to make the ice picks, because whoever made the ice pick that stabbed me, it get lodged in my arm because they didn't have it tight. They had it, you know what I mean, the strain handle on it. So when they hit me, when they popped me with it, cause I ain't know. I'm just rumbling. I'm fighting. I'm fighting like 6 dudes, so I don't really know. You know what I mean? But by the grace of God, I ain't get hit in the neck or the face with it or nothing. You know what I'm saying? It got lodged in my arm, and I really didn't know that I had got hit until I went to medical. Cause at Supermax, you got to go through the metal detector. I don't care what the case is. You're going through the metal detector. So I go through the metal detector. They trying to figure out what I got on because it keep going off. I got my little state jacket on. You know what I'm saying? So they said, man, take your jacket off. I'm talking about when I was taking my jacket off, it felt like a giant needle being, stuck in my arm. So I was like, because it snagged my coat. So when they put the joint off, that's when they seen this shit like protruding out my arm. So they're like, oh, he been stabbed. And I'm like, man, it ain't there one that's, to them, it's serious. But to me, it was like, yo, like, it's like a piece of metal in my arm, yo, what the fuck?
That sounds serious.
Yeah, so, because, like I said, I'm green. Like, I'm just thinking, like, they jumped me, so what? You know what I mean? They got off on me. So they thinking I'm connected to some gang or some initiation, or, you know what I mean? But I was like, yo, it's over a basketball game. But yeah, I suffered that. A fractured lower jaw. And I told, like I said, they tried to throw me off the top tier. Sussex I State Prison, they got a real high top tier. And after that incident, that's when they started putting they put these metal plates around the top tier that separated the bar so you couldn't slide nobody through that joint. That was incident that was the reason they got that joint put in there. But like I said, I guess they didn't like how I was handling the dude Khalif, with the one-on-one, so decided they were gonna jump me. But yeah.
Man, there ain't no fair fights in prison, and they were trying to kill you.
Yeah, they was trying to kill me, bro. Yeah, they was trying to kill me. I never told my mother that story, man, because my mother always used to worry about me being in prison. See, at Sussex when you get to fight like that, they got guns that they shoot in the pod. They got rubber pellets on them, rubber bullets on them. But when you hear that gun, when you hear that junk go off, oh yeah, everybody get down on the ground. Everybody. So that kind of like slaughtered everybody too, right? Because that shit, it probably would have been worse than that if they wouldn't have had, those guns in the pod, you know what I mean? But that disperses, you know what I mean, the crowd. right? Because we was on the top tier. But yeah, man, that was one of the experiences that made me realize that, man, I got to be careful. Not that I was, a coward or scared. You got to understand the environment. Understanding and respecting the environment is different than you being scared in the environment. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just started respecting certain things, man, about prison, the prison culture. Look, so I used to do a lot of paperwork at the prison, right? I used to grievances, tort claims, 1983 USC forms. I used to do a lot of I used to write a lot of stuff up, right? So on Greensville Correctional Facility, they had this joint called K2. I know you heard of the K2. You know what I mean? Dudes smoking it and they kirking out. Puerto Rican kid, man, young kid, man, that was on the yard smoking the K2, bro. And this is like one of those moments you on the yard, you chilling, and then you hear them blowing the whistle. You think somebody fighting. Dude is literally, it's like 110 degrees outside, man. They had to call medical team to pry his hands off the fence. He was literally stuck to the fence, man. Like, he couldn't move. The K2 messed him up.
What made him stuck to the fence? Was he just holding on to it?
Yeah, he couldn't release the fence. He couldn't let it go, man. He was gone though. You look at his eyes, man. They had to put him on a stretcher. He was gone, bro. Gone. I'm talking about, like, man, that joint was crazy. So they couldn't, K2, they can't give urinalysis. They can't determine what it is because they can't test it. So everybody's going out on this K2. You got dudes smoking it. They drinking out of the toilet urinal in the pod, lapping joints out like they dogs. Yeah, that joint was crazy, man. The drug pandemic in prison here in Virginia was crazy. It's even crazier now. I had locked down, man, with this dude, Aryan Nation. I'm talking about full-blooded Aryan Nation. We call him West Virginia. I actually sit in the cell and talk to this dude, man. He like one of the head top dudes in the Aryan Nation, right? We actually had a good conversation. But his thing was he wanted to know how he can get his wife to drop, work off. He was the maintenance dude. He worked on the maintenance. They can go inside the lights because they're maintenance people, right? So at the time I had a phone, a touchscreen cell phone, a PVG 100, the smallest cell phones at the time, about the size of an ID. I wanted it, to keep it in the light for when they shake down, because that's how you can hide it in the light. They got these ribbons that they put on the lights that can tell if you pop the light. Me and my cellie at the time, he paid him $75. I think it was $75 to pop the light. So, you know what I mean? So we be the only ones to be able to get in there. But my cellie ended up getting transferred, right? Because he never really wanted to deal with the narcotics, the pharmaceuticals. But me, on the other hand, I had a different approach. So anyway, we chopping it up, man. And once he told me, their differences, in race and people like that, I had to respect it. But we sit in the cell, man. We talked about 45 minutes, and we got, tight. But what was crazy is that the maintenance people, I'm talking about these civilian people, man, they were Aryan Nation. I'm talking about, man, this zone was crazy, right? Because I have never really met or seen, I'm talking about, like, I see them on TV, but to sit down and talk to, like, a person that's affiliated with the white supremacist group, Aryan Nations, the Aryan Brotherhood, that zone was crazy. They had Valhalla. They all had it tattooed on their arms, man. That zone was weird though, bro. It was weird, man. I'm talking about, this man was the skull cans of tobacco, right? The chewing tobacco. This man was selling that joint for $175 a can, $200 a can, man. I had never seen like how the money was coming in. Like, man, that joint was crazy, bro. Yeah, but yeah, I thought about when you said West Virginia. That's what made me think about the dude, West Virginia. White dude, man. Cool as a fan, but just so happened he was connected with the Aryan Nation, Aryan Brotherhood. He were cool, good people though. I mean, as I'm talking, I'm remembering stuff, right? I had developed hernia, right? So I had to have surgery to, to get it fixed from lifting weights. I was on King Mountain Correctional Facility. This institution is predominantly ran by, Caucasian people. So I began complaining about it. And once I started filing the paperwork, they transferred me to Greensville Correctional Facility. But they used to chew tobacco. I'm talking about you being a child. They spitting that joint in the trays, in the trash can. I'm talking about anywhere they at, they just spitting that joint in the joint, right? So I'm like, man, damn, these people nasty. But anyway, I get to Sussex I mean, the Greensville Correctional Facility had the surgery done, right? So they got me on these pills called Vicodin.
In
And
prison?
yeah, Vicodin. Yeah, they was giving me Vicodin, but they don't give it to you whole. They crush it up. They got a little hammer in medical that they crush it up with before they give it to you. They put in these little medicine cups, right? I used to notice they got this concrete pillar in front of the medical department because it's on the boulevard, the prison boulevard, right? So they had like 3, 4, Caucasian dudes that that they consider junkies that strung out. They were so good at knowing what medical is giving you by them crushing it. When they crush your medicine up, that means it's something powerful that they just can't give to you in the joint. So I remember leaving, man, I'm crunched over because the first 2 days they bought it to me. On the third day, they made me come out. I had to walk out and get it. So I'm walking out and get it, but I'm hunched over like the hunchback of Notre Dame, like, because I'm in some serious pain, right? I get to the window, boom, boom, boom. So I got the cup in my hand. And I already done bought it because they want you to drink it before you leave the window. So as I'm tilting that trunk to my head, the white dude say, hey, you trying to sell that, man? I like, man, no, man. I'm talking about, no, man. I like, they ready at the window. He like, man, you can just spit it back in the cup, hold the cup, spit it back in the cup. I'm like, man, hell no, man. I'm in some pain, bro. Like, they were real live junkies, bro. Yeah, real talk.